Ladies and gentlemen, our event is about to begin. Lenny Liebman, go ahead.
Hey, thanks so much, and welcome everybody to today's webinar on why mobility and security must play crucial roles in transforming retail experiences. If you're on with us today, you're obviously yourself some kind of manager of retail customer experiences, so you know how much things are changing right now, and this is just a great opportunity to hear from two great subject matter experts about some specifics, about some stuff you need to keep in mind, and about some ways you can make sure that you both optimize the experience with the richest amount of data, et cetera, in real time, but at the same time maintain a secure environment so your brand isn't compromised by a breach. Just a couple things about the console. The slides will advance for you automatically throughout the event. We also have a copy of the slides, which have lots of useful information in the resource folder, and in that resource folder you will also find an infographic, so please make use of that. Also, you can see that there's a Q&A button there. This is interactive. We're going to have a couple of presentations, but after those presentations are done, it's a great opportunity to ask some questions. If one of our speakers says something you want them to elaborate on, or maybe makes an assertion you want to challenge, we'd love to have your input. But don't wait until the Q&A session starts to put it in. Go ahead at any time. We'd love to get your questions in the queue as early and as often as possible. And finally, I'll just let you know that we're going to pop up a survey on your window there when the event is over, and we'd love for you to fill it out. We really do value your feedback so we can keep making these events as useful and informative as possible for you. And as I mentioned, two great speakers. First up is going to be Howard Cohen. Of course, if you're a regular with us, you know Howard very well. He's been in the industry for more years than I think he wants me to share with you, on a lot of advisory councils, very involved with the channel, so he knows about actually delivering solutions to companies as opposed to sort of the abstractions of technology in general. That's why he has the title of Senior Resultant, which we all love so much. And so Howard's going to share with you, and then after that you're going to hear from Jimmy Tsang, who's a Portfolio Marketing Manager at IBM for Mass 360. So obviously this is an important technology in terms of mobility. I think Jimmy's been with IBM since about 2012, but he's got much broader experience in the idea of mobility and security, enterprise software in general, and he's a frequent speaker, subject matter expert that you may have heard from before, and he's got some research that he's going to share with you. And again, then we'll have some Q&A. So we're going to hear from Howard, we're going to hear from Jimmy, we hope to hear from you, and without further ado, Howard, I'm going to invite you to get started.
Thank you, Lenny. Yes, as Lenny points out, senior resultant because I'm all about results. Senior because I'm old. Thanks, Lenny. My presentation this morning is really about mobile moments in retail stores. There's various ways in which retail organizations are using mobile technologies to increase sales, improve operations, and also to help employees to do a better job more efficiently. In this session, I'm going to start out with some statistics that you may find interesting. Some may surprise you. We'll talk about what a mobile moment is in the retail environment, how retailers are using technologies to improve customer experiences, how mobile enhances supply chain management, and how mobile increases employee efficiency. Okay. So let's get right into it, and let's start with some stats. Okay, first statistic, there are 7.3 billion people currently living on planet Earth. Of those 7.3 billion, 6.1 billion can be reached by texting. That's right. 6.1 billion people have some kind of device that can be used to text. That means that 84% of the world's population is reachable right now. Now, that's an irresistible number to retailers because every one of those 6.1 billion represents a potential customer that we want to reach. A survey of smartphone users revealed that 82% of them do consult their phones on purchases before they go to make them in a store. This has been on the rise for years. It continues to grow. Actually, 77% use them in the store while they're walking around the store. to research different products, to compare prices, compare features, and maybe to ask their spouse for permission to buy certain things like large screen TVs, but I won't get into that. 74% would shop at a retailer that offered an improved mobile in-store experience. 3/4 of smartphone users prefer to shop somewhere where there's Wi-Fi, where there's the opportunity to access information more quickly and more effectively. And a third consider online shopping to be the way they shop. They use their mobile device to shop for most things, and they use the various online services more readily than they do going to retail stores. Some more stats. Starting out, most smartphone users, 9 out of 10, don't know exactly which brand they're going to buy. So they are shopping. They're not just looking to order something and they're not definite about what it is. They obviously will begin by going and doing a search on the kind of product they're looking to buy. Well, 3/4 of those people who do that end up in a retail store somewhere within a day. And of those, 28% purchase. So using the law of big numbers, that's a lot of people who are starting their journey on a mobile device, doing some homework, and then making a decision to buy locally. Very interesting stat, and this is one that surprised me, is that retail foot traffic in stores is down more than half in the last 5 years. Cut more than half. So we have fewer people shopping in stores today, way fewer than we did. However, everyone who does go, the value of their purchase has tripled, meaning that we're getting 1.5 times as much sales out of less than half the customers. That's a very interesting thing to think about. It has to mean that people are doing their homework elsewhere. And ultimately, we realize mobile is driving local purchases. Mobile is driving people to stores to make a purchase, fully informed and ready to go. Fewer people are going to stores to actually shop, to actually research products, try them out. More of them are just going there to buy. So I promised that we'd talk about mobile moments. And the mobile moment is the moment when a customer pulls out their smartphone to do something. And it's imperative to retailers that when that moment hits and they're pulling out that cell phone, that they be there, that they capitalize on the moment to get a message across to those mobile users. So here are a couple of examples of mobile moments. How do I get there? Pull out my GPS to find out how to get someplace. Where can I find that? They're looking for a specific product someplace near them. Where can I obtain that particular food, that particular product? I need some ideas, a much broader kind of search. I'm trying to do something, not sure exactly how to do it. Where can I get more information on that? When they have that thought, you want to be first in that search when they ask their search engine, give me some ideas about this. When they're down to the decision between different products, which one is best? Which one's best for me? And of course, the magic moment, the moment we all work toward, is the moment where they decide, yep, I want to buy it. When they want to buy something, you want to be the top choice in that search engine so that they see that, yep, you sell it, and they can get it from you. Okay, so now that we know where we want to be, let's talk about how we're going to get there. Okay, in retailing specifically, we talk about the omni-channel approach to reaching customers. Omni-channel, all channels, every channel. Let's touch that customer as many times as we possibly can to get them familiar with us. You know, there have been many sales coaches over the years, sales motivational speakers who have said that it takes 8 touches before a customer will actually interact with you. Another says it takes 22 touches before they'll do that. Some say 3, some say 17. I don't know how many touches it is, but I know that it's more than 1. So omni-channel allows us to reach out and touch customers in a variety of ways. Let's quickly go through some of them. Okay, the one that's most obvious to most people are the shelf talkers. Okay, these days, or in the past, shelf talkers have been labels that list the price of an item. More recently, we had a card that listed the features and capacities and specifications of an item along with the price and the product ID code. More recently, and starting to grow in popularity, are tablet-based product labels. They're not labels, they're a tablet. And that tablet can display interactive information, wide variety of information, going really deep if you want to. When you walk up, it's displaying the standard information you'd expect to find, but you can interact with that label, and you as a customer can find out more just by working with that. Another popular approach is tablets embedded in shopping carts. As you're shopping the store, if you want to find where a specific product is, you just tap on it, and it shows you where to go, which aisle, where in the aisle to find it. QR codes have been popular for a long time now. You bring your mobile phone with you, you scan the QR code, and deeper information becomes available about the product that you're looking at. Another technology that's used for the same thing is NFC, which stands for Near Field Communications. When they say near, they mean near. You tap your phone on the card, on the item, and you get more information about it. This was originally introduced for people to tap their phones together to trade information about themselves. Now it's been much more widespread as an easy way to get quick information about a product that you see in a store. Digital signage. Digital signage has been used very widely to show people products in action, specifically apparel, but a wide variety of other products as well. What most people don't realize is that as they're looking at the digital sign is looking back at them. And it's identifying information about them. We'll talk a little bit more about how it does that a little bit later on. But this is very much a two-way street, an interactive opportunity not only to display information about products, but also to collect information about customers. And of course, there's still self-service kiosks in many stores giving shoppers the opportunity to find the products they're looking for and learn about them before they go moving about the shelves. Okay. Showrooming. This is a simple one. Many people go to a store to look at the products, and then they go home and order them online. Some manufacturers have actually kind of run with the momentum on this, and you see stores opening up where a manufacturer shows off all of its products. You can come to that store, look at all the products. You can order it online, there, home. They don't care. They're there just to show you the products. Many retailers have been frustrated by the fact that they've got foot traffic that does not convert into a sale. Clearly, that is a strategy every retailer needs to develop. How do I keep them in the store and get them to make their purchase in the store once I've got them in the store? On the flip side is web rooming, where people are looking at products online, deciding what they want, and purchasing those products in a store. Smart retailers are making it easy for them to order the products right there from their mobile device and then come to the store to pick them up. Another new nickname, one that was new to me anyway, was the concept of retail snacking. No, Lenny, this is not picking up a couple of Hostess cupcakes while you're running around Best Buy. This is the tendency to order one product at a time. And I'm sure anybody who has done online shopping has done this. I know I do it. You see a product that you want, you order it. Maybe you're feeling a little pressure because it says if you order within 36 minutes, you'll get it by Friday. Not sure exactly what pushes it, but I know for myself. When I see a product, I order it. I use the one-click ordering, or I put it in my cart and just process it. And then I go back and I do a little more shopping. And I see another thing that I want, and I order it. And I see another thing that I want, and I order it. And at some point, my wife pulls my mobile device out of my hands. This is good for retailers in that it increases impulse buying, not as good necessarily if it increases shipping costs. So many retailers have taken to developing strategies for collecting all of those individual orders and shipping them as one consolidated order. An in-store strategy that's become very popular is clienteling. This is where the salesperson that you encounter in the store has a mobile device with them on which they can find out any information you need from them so that they can become your personal buying assistant, your shopping assistant, and expert at making recommendations to you. They certainly have access to all the product information in the store. They can scan a product barcode and get deeper information right there for you. Or they can scan your loyalty program card and learn all about you so they can compare that information to the products they're talking about. And it becomes a very personal relationship that is powered by mobile technology. Loyalty programs have become more important to customers. They love getting those bonuses at the end of a period of purchasing. They want to be able to track their progress, see how many points they have and how many more they need before they can go and obtain a bonus. This, for the retailer, is a great opportunity to collect tremendous amounts of more information about customers. Customers are happy to share more information when they know that there's something in it for them in the form of loyalty points that lead to free products. More and more, we're seeing the emergence of store mobile apps. Now, store mobile apps aren't just for use outside the store. More and more, we're seeing development inside of mobile store apps that is useful inside the store. Obviously, you want to have a store locator, especially with the continuing expansion of certain chains where there are multiple locations within a particular geography. You want to make it easy to find the stores nearest you. Product availability, a huge motivator to getting people into a store. If they know the product is there, that's the quickest, easiest way to get it, and they just jump in the car and go. Locating products in the store, very popular, and scanning QR barcodes for more information. Here's where we now make the phone useful in the store. They don't have to download a separate utility. They simply use the store app to obtain more information while they're shopping in the store. All of this has given rise to a concept called M-shopping. We're seeing more people become M-shoppers, mobile shoppers. And it can be an interactive experience with a store where they create their cart online, fill that cart with the products they want to buy or think they want to buy. They may do that at their personal computer or their laptop computer, so they have a larger screen to look at the products with. Coming soon, they'll be able to wear a VR headset and get a more rich, three-dimensional, full experience of a product right there sitting in front of their computer. Once they've identified all their products and put them all in their cart, that cart gets moved to their mobile phone. They take that with them to the store and decide which products they are indeed going to keep and which they're going to pull off the cart, which they're going to replace. And when they're done, they simply go to a sales associate to check out. The sales associate takes over their cart, checks them out, takes payment, and they're on their way. This mobile shopping experience becomes both a remote and local experience for the customer. Getting toward the end of this list, I just wanted to point out that in-store Wi-Fi is a very important value for the customer, but it's also a value for the retailer. Every device, beyond the IP address that we all know about, every device also has a media access control address, and each one is completely unique. Using your digital signage or other Wi-Fi sensors in the store, you can scan each device. You can obtain that media access control address, and then you can track that customer's progress around the store, even if you don't know who they are. That alone establishes traffic patterns, dwell times, a lot of other information that you certainly want about each customer. If your customer then logs into a social media site using your Wi-Fi And if they've given permission for your Wi-Fi to access their contacts and their other information, which most people simply approve by default, you can then find out who they are. You can find out their name, their email address, other information about them personally. You can find out what websites they visit. You can find out how often they come to your store and which areas of the store they visit, how long they spend in each area. All of this is tremendously valuable information that you can find. Now, those of you who never realized this before, you may want to go back and change those approvals that you've given on your connections to make sure that the stores you visit can't do that if you don't want them invading your privacy. But again, most customers simply click approve by default. And so there's a ton of information that's readily available if you have in-store Wi-Fi. A newer technology that's just emerging now and has some challenges are called beacons. These are small devices that can be located throughout the store that use Bluetooth to communicate with your customer. The challenge that has slowed their adoption, of course, is that to be useful, beacons require that the user download a specific app, and that app interacts with the beacons. This, too, can track areas of the store that they visit. It can help them find products, and it can lead them to special promotions in the store. So you can actually use the beacon to connect to customers and tell them, hey, take a look over here. You may be very interested based on your purchasing history or based on who you are to look at the special that we're running in this department. So beacons have become very important. Very quickly, going to touch upon how mobile enhances supply chain management. We've been talking about mobile shopping, M-shopping. Now let's talk a little bit about MPOS, mobile point of sale. You've probably seen this already in stores. The cashier has a wearable barcode scanner, either in a ring or a wristband. They can very easily scan all the barcodes of the products that you're buying. They have slung to their waist a wireless receipt printer, so they can give you a receipt at the end of the process. The register is actually in their smartphone. So they simply ring you up in their smartphone. You don't have to go get on a line, so there are no lines. You may have a bunch of people lined up waiting for a particular in-store person, but it drastically reduces lines. The cashier can get to you rather than you having to get to them. This has enabled online ordering for in-store pickup, which makes things easier. Customers don't have to go running around the store, and you can have their products waiting for them for immediate pickup when they get there. You can do instant price matching in the store. Load up all of your competitors' prices on products, compare what you're selling a product for, and if your policy is to match the best price in town, you can confirm that the best price in town is a real price, not just something that is on a scrap of paper that's being handed to you. Many stores are using their mobile devices to provide upsell and cross-sell opportunities, other products that the customer may want along with the product they're buying, or maybe even better versions of the product that they're looking at. You can use these to process customer wish lists or registries. The shopper comes in looking to buy a gift for somebody who's getting married or having a baby. You can take a look at that person's registry right there in your palm without having to sit down at a computer. We lost a bullet here. Inventory control, out of stock, special orders can all be processed directly from the mobile device. You can see what's in stock. If it's out of stock, you can order it. If they're ordering something that's not kept in stock, you can make the special order right there without having to go anyplace special. One thing that happens frequently with multiple locations in a particular geography, you're out of stock, but one of your sister stores has the product. You find that product in their inventory, you ring it up, give them a receipt, they take it to the other store and take the product with them. Automated proof of delivery has helped in reducing the number of erroneous claims that something did not arrive. Delivery services are collecting the actual signature of the person receiving the product, and that reduces a different kind of shrink. And very soon, we're going to start seeing augmented reality headsets. The headsets are out. It's the software that's in development now. We're going to see them on both sides of the equation. On the customer side, as we said before, you're going to see virtual reality environments where you can experience a product without really being there. You can do that from the comfort of your home. On the supply chain management side, in-store personnel will be able to wear an augmented reality headset that shows them how products are supposed to be laid out in the planogram, how many of a product is supposed to be on the shelf versus how many are really there right now. This will make it much faster for in-store personnel to set out new sets of products and to replenish existing products. So big improvement in supply chain management, which brings us to the one thing that we haven't discussed yet, and that is security. Everything we've talked about throughout this presentation has been about moving information between a retail organization and customers. That can get to be a lot of information, and a lot of that information should be protected information. We may store sizes and other personal information about the physical form of a person. We may store information about their credit cards, their home address, where they live. Clearly, it is required that all of this information be protected and that the privacy of the customers not be violated. We have seen outrageous examples to the contrary, where large retail organizations have been the target of bad actors who have taken their information and stolen information about thousands upon thousands of customers. Up next, we'd like to talk about how to secure all of that information, how to secure the retail environment. And to do that, we have Jason Sang from IBM to talk about the Mass 360 approach to securing the retail environment. Jason?
All right. Thanks, Howard. And before we dive into what IBM Mass 360 can do, which is, again, for unified endpoint management, one thing, and it's a great segue from where Howard came from, which is around security. What we did is we actually did a research report with ESG Research, which is Enterprise Strategy Group. And what they did is they surveyed about 100 IT professionals about their in-store technology. So rather than the great list that Howard provided around all the use cases for omnichannel, we're looking specifically on really how IT and the retail leaders can impact in-store experiences. So this will be more of a focused survey, and you'll see what's important for this group of leaders and how they basically view the world in terms of mobility and endpoints. As you can see, it's about almost an even split between mid-market and large retailers, in the survey. And again, we just focused on the retail industry, so it's perfect for this presentation. So one of the first questions we asked them is, what's your most important initiatives in store, right? And you sort of can guess what the top 5 important initiatives are around, increasing foot traffic, right? That's number 1. Reducing cost, that's not a big surprise, is number 2. Improving the overall in-store customer experience that, again, Howard has talked a lot about, and that's a really important key point. And then really these others around customer relationship and in-store experiences. I mean, those are the sort of top 5. But what you see falling out of that top 5, and what Howard sort of alluded to, which is
Jason,
where
Jason,
Yep.
Hi, it's Howard. Yeah,
Yeah.
I thought the first statistic really struck me as interesting. That retailers looking to increase foot traffic when we find that foot traffic has been declining. I mean, it obviously makes sense. I wonder how many of them, if asked, would change that statement to say they want to increase qualified foot traffic. That is, foot traffic amongst people who are actually going to buy. Because I think that's the impact that mobile has really been having on their traffic. It's improving the percentage who are actually out there to buy.
Right, versus showrooming, right? As
Yeah,
you
exactly.
mentioned earlier.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, you want to keep them in the store as well as make that sale versus just acting as a showroom for, online retailer. Exactly. Yeah, and agree. That's an important business initiative. But one thing that was, again, left out of the top 5 was around securing the corporate or store data, right? It is out of the top 5. That means that it's not really a focus of the IT leaders there. But, if you look at the next slide, they do understand and they do admit that is a challenge for them, right? The top 2 basically 2 of the top 3 challenges for them is protecting customer data and privacy, and training basically their workers on corporate policies and security regulations that they have. So even though it may not fall into the top 5 of the business initiatives, and we would argue that it should, it is definitely something they acknowledge as some challenges they need to address going forward. So that's great. I think we all understand that with these high-profile headliners, with all these data leakage issues that we see, I think going forward, IT leaders understand it. So that's what we're optimistic about. So in terms of again, in-store technology that they're looking for. So for mobile devices, 37% of organizations said that ease of use, right? Having a mobile device that's easy to use, intuitive, touch-enabled, all the above is really the key consideration when they're looking at in-store technology. So I think really enabling the store worker, right, is important, and making sure that they can get up and running with little or no training involved. And what's great about say devices these days versus say a decade ago is that most of these devices that they're deploying, they're consumer devices, right? They were meant to be consumer devices. They weren't, industrial. You can drop it and has a whole bunch of keys on it, right? That you require a lot of training. They really started off as consumer devices, right? Whether it's the iPhone or the Android device or some type of tablet. They understand the technology today, and it's really easy for them to get up and running. But if you look at also the other top considerations, look at price, ease of management, battery life, operating system, right? Those are the key considerations. And then, talking about security again, having available security policies or use of biometrics to make it even easier and more secure to get access to those apps on the device, they sort of fall off those top, out of the top 5. So again,
Jimmy?
Yeah, go ahead, Howard.
Yeah, it's Howard again. I'm sorry. The one thing that I think is worth pointing out here is that things like biometrics contribute to solving the biggest problem that any organization has with mobile devices, and that is the balance between what the user wants and what the company needs. The user wants an easy thing to use. They don't want to have to keep on entering passwords. Anything you do to secure a device makes it harder to use, and the user wants it to be as easy as possible. But it does have to be secure. So something like biometrics makes it easier to be responsible about security without compromising users' desire for ease of use. And I think that's a crucial point. I think it's surprising to me that biometrics isn't higher on the chart, but I think it will soon be.
Yeah, I think as more mobile devices, Howard, are enabled with biometrics, maybe perhaps some Android devices are not these days. Older devices obviously weren't. I think over time we'll see that go up, not just for ease of use, but as you said, but also for security. And when we talk about in-store technology, it's not necessarily just the technology that the IT department's buying. That's great that they're supplying sort of the latest and greatest technology, doing a lot of experimentation around different types of devices and things, right? They can use around the store. But also, I think more and more retailers are open to having their workers to actually bring their own device to work. so that they can help the customer. So if you see here, 50% of organizations permit their employees to bring their own device, right? BYOD. And I think that's a positive trend. We want to make sure that every employee is enabled, right? If say a small retailer or even a large retailer can't afford in their budgets to provide every user a smartphone or a tablet, then at least you have alternative to help with that, whether mobile POS or being able to be able to shelf talk, for example, on the floor. I think it's important to be able to provide this option as needed. But if you have this option, then you definitely need to think about not just lowering cost or making these handsets available, but also security as well. It's not something that you can really jump into. It's something where you need to figure out a program for. So we definitely talk to a lot of customers about designing a BYOD program rather than just jumping into everyone bringing their own device for work. Okay, so in terms of mobile apps, so mobile apps is the lifeblood of these devices. Again, whether it's a smartphone, tablet, or a laptop or desktop. So we see that 58% today think that apps are critical or important. I think we expected that. In 24 months from now, it just continues to trend upward because that's where it is, and we're seeing more and more, again, public apps being used in store, and not just proprietary apps or apps that the IT department or operations have created for the store. So definitely, more and more apps are being enabled on these phones. On BYOD devices, we see app catalogs that are provided by the corporation so that the users use the apps that they need for work, and not just any app that may be on the App Store. Okay. So in terms of the types of devices, right, we want to see what type of technology today do these in-store employees use. And, it wasn't surprising, but I guess, we were a little bit surprised that the terminal or the desktop is still dominating this space. It's surprising because we know that, smartphones and tablets are taking over, right, to make sure that workers are mobile and not tied to sort of a desk or, a stand. But, we see that these, laptops, desktops, and terminals are still a majority of the devices being used in these stores. And so what that means is you have as an IT leader in the store or in the retail operation, you have a lot of devices that you need to be aware of, right? So it really requires sort of a unified approach to be able to manage all these devices. If you have point solutions that manage your smartphone or tablet, and another solution that manages your desktop computer or laptop, and then another one with managing a scanner, it becomes unwieldy, right, over time. And as you add more and more technology, it's going to be even more diverse. It's going to be even more, basically crazy over time to try and manage all these devices. So that's a challenge, going forward. And as I talked about, more and more devices, well, the, Internet of Things, right? Having things connected to be able to improve the customer experience. Obviously, the whole retail operation is growing more and more. So from this survey, you see that 61%, a majority of these respondents, have or currently developing, plans to use IoT in their stores. And when we think about IoT, they could be all the above, right? Anywhere from connected beacons, as Howard mentioned, to cameras, right? The use of cameras and even sonar and other technologies to be able to track customer traffic, for example, product inventory on the shelves, a whole universe of uses. And when you think about all that data, all those devices, and how do you secure and manage all that, it's a great opportunity. I mean, definitely in terms of the amount, the technology that people are deploying, but also a huge amount of risk, right? We've seen, web cameras being taken over, right, by hackers, and used for different purposes, whether it's a DDoS attack or just viewing through webcams to be able to see in store or in the house. So it's definitely something to be aware of. Again, a lot of people are experimenting at this point. I would say the use cases are sort of varied, but it's going to grow more and more. We see a lot of leaders doing this. And if you think of sort of the one of the earlier IoT projects that most retailers had, it's around digital kiosks. Again, Howard mentioned this in his earlier slides. Whether the kiosk is used for just store display or for even ordering, we're seeing a lot more in terms of retail establishments, especially within the food chains, using these kiosks for ordering, right? So it's becoming touch-enabled. It has a camera. It's displaying all this information, and being able to manage and secure these devices is even more important. So you see that again, a majority are starting to take advantage of digital kiosks and signage going forward. And we consider this almost like an IoT device as well, because again, it's single use. There's really, it's connected, but there's not really a user, right? There's no employee dedicated to it. It's really, for the customer to take advantage of. So that's a lot of information that I shared with you. What you can do is actually check out the infographic around this study, this ESG study with IBM. With this URL here. And I think we have in the resources tab also a link to our URL. So you can get access to that, and really provides a really good summary of this survey. So definitely take a look at it. There's a lot of really interesting information that you can take advantage of as you prepare to plan for 2017 and beyond in your retail operations. So with that, I'm going to transition to telling you a little bit about IBM Mass 360. In the past week, we actually had a huge announcement where we announced our integration with Watson. So the IBM Mass 360 with Watson. And what Mass 360 provides is basically unified endpoint management, right? Being able to manage smartphones, tablets, and laptops and desktops on one portal, and we're doing it with a cognitive approach to it, and I'll explain what that means in the coming slides. So our mission is to provide a cognitive approach to enable endpoints, right? Again, all those devices that I mentioned, end users, because they're really the lifeblood of any organization, and then everything in between. And when we say that, it means apps, content, files, data, right? Those are all the universe of mobility that you want to manage and secure in your environment. And you may or may not have a mobile device management solution already in your environment. So some of the competitors out there have deployed years ago, usually on-prem, right? But they really started off managing BlackBerry devices, maybe the first iPhones, and then when Android came out, they started managing that, right? Those devices as well. But what we see today is EMM and really unified endpoint management going way beyond that, right? IT leaders today have bigger ambitions, and what we see is around wearables, IoT, as well as providing all this data, these insights around these devices, right? Not only is it enough to just manage them and provide security policies for them, but what can I do with them from a strategic perspective? What kind of insights can I glean from them so that I can improve, the customer experience or improve cost or efficiency of my IT team, going down the road. So really, it's a bigger meaning around what UEM is today, and a really big one is around IoT, right? It's not just smartphones and desktops as you see on the left-hand side, but it's really all these connected things. And as I mentioned, it is an opportunity, right? Great innovation, a lot of use cases, and it's a lot of promise, obviously, to it. But it can be a ticking time bomb, right, in terms of security, in terms of privacy, in terms of just being able to, manage and use all that data and securing that data that comes from those types of things is a challenge, but it's definitely an opportunity that IT leaders need to, understand going forward. So when we think of, UEM or, mobile device management, really that's just the first step, right? Being able to manage these devices and things, right? People and identity, making sure that, users get what they need, they're authenticated, they're authorized, and then apps and content, right? So we talked a lot about, these types of technologies, right? But that's just the first step. This is what is table stakes, today when you think of MDM or EMM today, right? So what we're saying is that in terms of the reality of IT leaders, right, they want to maintain control while delivering convenience to their users or even like results, right? Employees are consumers today, whether they're BYOD or you give them a corporate device, they want to know how to use it and be productive with it. We saw ease of use being a big part of it, right? So they want to make sure there's no hurdles for them to be productive, right? And they expect convenience, as convenient as you going to, to your coffee shop and being able to pay with their device. They want to be able to be as simple and seamless as that experience, in the workplace. And what we believe, cognitive technology is going to be able to get you there. It's going to basically be able to take advantage of all the data, being able to normalize all of the devices that you have, apps and content, and basically deliver that convenience, that operational efficiency, the security that you need going forward. And you see the stat here. We actually had a survey with Forrester Research, and they said, greater than 80% of companies by 2020 will use AI or cognitive computing to analyze endpoint data. And it's just because of the flood of data out there. It's becoming unwieldy. They're drowning in all this content and data going forward. So, what does cognitive technology do? We talk a little bit about, the cognitive approach, but what it does, it gives you the power to see, right? It gives you the power to see what happened or what is happening, what can happen, right? If something, like a mobile malware, for example, happened, what can happen to your environments or your devices if they're infected? What should be done, right? What's the action that you should take that's contextual to your environment, that's relevant to your organization and to your users? So again, that's the power of cognitive. All these questions you can answer with it, as well as making sure that it applies to you, right? Not just to any organization, not just to, for example, if you're in retail, you don't want to know, maybe insights or reports from a healthcare organization, right? You want to be very specific to your environment. So that's the key to cognitive. It's not just alerts or insights to the general public or to general enterprise public. It needs to be specific to your organization. So just to quickly, take a look at, the before and after of cognitive, right? IBM Mass 360 with Watson, right? You can go from, discovery, right? Digging through news and blogs randomly, while, right, with a cognitive approach, you can be alerted with news and insights, right? It'll be delivered to you. So also in terms of discovery, manually searching in the platform, right, in your MDM solution, in your UEM solution, you have to manually do it. It's not it's not an easy task to do. But with a cognitive approach, you can ask questions and get answers, right? As simple as that. In plain English, with your spoken voice, it's going to be a lot easier. Okay, so in terms of definition, like what it is, right, you can spend hours trying to figure out and do research in terms of learning about it. But instead of that, you're getting knowledge served right to you, right? So simple, easy, and relevant. In terms of assessment, what is that, say, malware, right? Fumbling for relevancy and best practices while you're gaining instant understanding and recommendations through Mass 360 with Watson. And the last one is acting, right? You're spending time developing an action plan, trying to figure out how it affects your organization, how many devices are impacted, while with Watson, we're going to take immediate action within the context of your environment. So here's sort of a overall diagram of how IBM Mass 360 with Watson works for cognitive UEM. In the blue, you see devices and things, apps and content, people and identity. These are sort of the major sort of pillars of UEM, right? And this is what you may expect from most of our competitors. But what is really differentiated and what we believe going forward is needed as we have more and more data, more and more things that we need to manage, is this really top layer around augmented intelligence and cognitive computing, right? Providing you actionable insights and contextual analytics that is not available to you today until now. So really, with Watson, we're providing that layer of analytics and insights that weren't available, and really provides that intelligence that you need to manage your environment. So today, there's a lot as part of this announcement that we had, but going forward, as we continue to grow with Watson and Watson continues to learn, it's going to be even more contextual, and it's going to be even smarter. So that's sort of what I want to end off with today, which is really do more than manage endpoints, right? Do more than just manage devices and those smartphones and tablets and laptops. Really think about the use cases, right? Transforming your business with cognitive UEM. It needs to be more than just, again, managing endpoints today. Think about those use cases, those omni-channel use cases that Howard talked about, right? Think about those as your vision and how cognitive UEM can enable that. So really that's the key point. And in terms of next steps you can take, you can go to ibm.com/mass360. And if you go there, you can get a 30-day free trial of our product and literally get instant access to our portal where you can see the insights from Watson as you add devices, apps, and content. So it's really easy to get started, and it really just takes 3 simple steps. So with that, I'm going to turn it back to Lenny to see if we have any questions you'd like to answer.
Sure, and thanks, guys, both for that great quick overview of what's going on in retail. And I just want to personally attest to something Howard said about that notion of sister store. I recently had my own shopping experience where I went to 2 different chains looking for the same item. At the first one, they didn't have it in the store. Took them forever to tell me they didn't have it in the store, and suggested that I drive to a sister store to look for it, which I was never going to do in a million years, considering their competitor was much closer to the sister store. Went there. They didn't have it either, but they told me instantly that they didn't have it, and they gave me a choice. Told me that they did have it in the sister store, and I made a little face, and I have to tell you, the salesperson went online with me, ordered it in the store, and took off the shipping cost. So just as a quick portrait of the incredible difference between 2 very equivalent chains, one of which had no digital capacity really whatsoever, and I think it went beyond just that one shopping experience. There's going to be a long-term impact of which one I go to next time based on that experience. But Jimmy, I wanted to ask you a couple things about IBM Mass. The first one I wanted to ask was, you made passing reference to this idea of employees and them knowing kind of policies. And, retail's a pretty high turnover business. So I just want to clarify, so in addition to sort of these technical aspects and the cool stuff you're doing with Watson, does IBM Mass itself allow me to set a policy that, like, an employee can't even get to work unless they've attested that they understand a certain policy, or they've, if it's BYOD, that they have signed off on what it is we can and can't do with their device? Can you just clarify that for me?
Sure. So as I talked about earlier, let's take, for example, a BYOD program. So definitely in terms of setting up a BYOD program, you want to make sure you have the buy-in of your employees, right? You want to make sure that they understand what they're getting into, what they have access to, or what the corporation has access to if they use their personal device for work. So definitely it is something around education and training that needs to happen. Mass 360 does enable for example, turning off the location tracking as well as app tracking on a device, right? So typically MDM solutions allow corporations to see where the device is and what types of apps are on them. So one thing that you need to let your employees know is that you can turn those off, and that you will, right, as part of policy, do that. In addition, as you know, when you first enroll the device, right, you have to agree to terms and conditions, and those terms and conditions, as part of enrollment, can have your terms and conditions embedded in there. So. So if they want to use the device for work, then they would have to agree to those T's and C's.
Yeah. Really important to make that administrative process part of the technical process. I think a lot of organizations still manage that manually. And again, if you're a large enough chain with enough turnover, or if you're a lot of retail businesses have seasonal peaks where they got to onboard people quickly, boy, you sure don't want to have any problems there with some paperwork and attestation about a policy. The other question I had for you, Jimmy, is you've talked sort of in a somewhat abstract way about the benefits and capabilities. Howard did too. What about if I'm on the call now, I'm hearing what you're saying, but I need to make some kind of real hard ROI business case to upper management that's kind of saying, well, we spent this much money on some, MDM a couple years ago. We've spent this much money on security. We spent this much money on another system. How do I justify and say going forward we need to economically justify we need to make this investment in a much more unified, streamlined, policy-based, automated, system going forward?
Yeah, that's a great question. So what we're seeing today is we see separate systems and separate teams actually managing the different types of devices in the store. So typically we see, say, IT involved with smartphones and tablets. We see, almost a mobility group. We see a client management group responsible for like desktops and terminals and laptops, right? So a whole separate group with a whole separate technology. And now we're also seeing, in-store retail operations involved with IoT, right? Where they're really pushing the envelope in terms of the types of things that they want to leverage to improve the customer experience. So if you think about it there, you already have like three disparate groups working with three disparate systems, and being able to unify that with one software package, one platform, and manage it all across the board, where you can gain visibility across the board, provide really aligned and similar security policies across those devices and apps. I think that the ROI, the financial business case, is pretty clear once you figure out in terms of how can we streamline all this information and actually have do a better job with it, because what we see with the cognitive approach is it's like having a live advisor, a trusted advisor with you, right? Almost like a head count, being able to provide you with the insights about security, around how to improve your productivity and how to improve efficiency, right? That's what Watson will provide for you, in the portal. So in addition to, again, streamlining all these systems, as well as providing those insights as what Watson will provide as an advisor, I think those aspects really makes the business case for IT and security.
Great, and I have a bunch more questions on here, but we've come to the top of the hour, so we will have to cut it short. If we didn't get to your question, we've got it here. We'll get to it offline. Just want to encourage everybody once again. Jimmy gave you some instructions about how you can go for a demo. We've got the resources in the resource folder. Take a look at the infographic and get those slides downloaded so you have all that information. Fill out the survey, and if you found your time with us worthwhile today, please keep your eyes peeled for upcoming events, because we've got more subject matter experts ready to talk to you about mobility, about vertical markets, about security, about all those topics that are of interest to you. So on behalf of Jimmy and Howard, this is Lenny Liebman. Thank you so much for your time. Have a great day.